It's January 17th here in Seoul, and I'm Kim Dami. We begin with these stories making the headlines at this hour. Starting with South Korean sanctions on ships involved in trade with North Korea. South Korea has imposed sanctions on ships and individuals for their illicit maritime activities that essentially allowed North Korea's nuclear and missile development. 9 out of the 11 ships on the list have been sanctioned for the first time ever. North Korea's top diplomat Choi Sun-hee has met with Russian leader Vladimir Putin in Moscow. No details have been revealed, but high on the agenda is likely to have been Putin's potential visit to Pyongyang following an invite from leader Kim Jong-un. The United States targeted Yemen for a third time, this time destroying 4 missiles that pose a threat to ships in the Red Sea, the Pentagon says. The U.S. military also claimed it seized Iranian weapons bound for Yemen's Houthis. 11 ships, 2 individuals, and 3 entities are now on South Korea's blacklist for their illegal activities that have technically fed North Korea's nuclear and missile development. Now, such sanctions on vessels are the first of their kind in 8 years. Our Peninsula has our top story this morning.
South Korea said it would independently impose a new set of sanctions on North Korea as it seeks to prevent the regime's illicit maritime activities and squeeze its funding sources. Newly added to the blacklist are 11 ships, 2 individuals, and 3 entities involved in activities that violate UN Security Council resolutions, such as maritime transfers with North Korean vessels and the import of refined oil or coal smuggling to the north. Seoul's foreign ministry said Wednesday that North Korea has been procuring materials and funds, including oil, through these activities in order to develop its nuclear and missile programs. It also said this is the first time in about 8 years that the government is imposing sanctions on ships since March 2016. Of the 11 ships placed on the list, South Korea is the first country to issue sanctions on 9 of them. With the sanctions now in place, the captain of these ships must have domestic entry approval from the regulatory authority before entering South Korea. As for the blacklisted individuals and entities, those wishing to engage in financial transactions with them must obtain permission from the governor of the Bank of Korea or the Financial Services Commission. The latest sanctions come just 3 days after North Korea fired an intermediate-range ballistic missile, which could be capable of targeting U.S. military bases in Guam or Japan. The regime claimed the next day that it has successfully tested a solid-fuel missile carrying a hypersonic warhead, which makes such missiles harder to intercept. Pyongyang has been raising tensions on the Korean Peninsula in recent weeks, with its leader Kim Jong-un saying that he has no intention of avoiding war with South Korea. Peninsula, Arirang News.
And Wednesday's sanctions also came a day after North Korea's threat to label the South as its #1 hostile country in its constitution. In response to that, President Yoon warned the North of punishment multiple times stronger should the regime stage a provocation. Our presidential office correspondent Kim Do-yeon reports.
Just hours after North Korea's state media reported on Kim Jong-un's decision to constitutionally label South Korea as the regime's #1 hostile country, President Yoon didn't shy away when hitting back with remarks of his own.
이는 북한 정권 스스로가 반민족적이고 반역사적 집단이라는 사실을 자인한 것입니다.
On the contrary, South Korea's constitution says the nation's territory is all of the Korean Peninsula and that it shall seek peaceful unification based on democratic order. The comments came at a planned cabinet meeting where the president usually broadcasts his opening statements live. There he also reiterated that the nation is ready to retaliate against any provocation multiple times stronger. And referring to the statement that Pyongyang will not be recognizing the northern limit line, the de facto inter-Korean maritime border, Yoon said it's an attempt to make people anxious and divide South Korea. In fact, he called for unity to fight against the propaganda.
전쟁이냐 평화냐를 협박하는 재래의 위장 평화 전술은 더 이상 통하지 않습니다. 우리 국민과 정부는 하나가 되어 북한 정권의 기만 전술과 선전선동을 물리쳐 나아가야 합니다.
And amidst the exchange of harsh words, he underscored that the true threat is not the people of North Korea, but its regime.
북한 주민들은 우리와 똑같이 자유와 인권과 번영을 누릴 권리를 가진 우리와 같은 민족입니다. 우리는 이들을 따뜻하게 포용해 나아가야 합니다.
And despite North Korea's deciding to shut down all agencies related to inter-Korean relations, President Yoon ordered for more work to be done by South Korea's Unification Ministry. Specifically, he said the nation will do more to help North Korean defectors settle in South Korea and said the ministry needs to legally designate a day to celebrate the North Korean defectors. He also called on the foreign ministry to cooperate with the global community to help and protect the defectors. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
The top nuclear envoys of South Korea, the U.S. and Japan will hold talks on North Korea's latest military provocations amid its growing ties with Russia. According to Seoul's Foreign Ministry on Tuesday, Special Representative for Korean Peninsula Peace and Security Affairs Kim Jong-un will meet with his U.S. and Japanese counterparts Jung Pak and Hiroyuki Namazu, respectively, for three-way talks in Seoul on Thursday. On Wednesday, Kim will hold talks with his Japanese counterparts, followed by separate one-on-one talks between Kim and Park on Thursday morning. And the ministry says the three sides will discuss Pyongyang's recent provocations, as well as military cooperation with Moscow and response measures. North Korean Foreign Minister Choi Sun-hee has met with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow, with Putin's possible visit to Pyongyang among the likely topics discussed. According to the Kremlin, Choi briefed Putin on Tuesday about her earlier meeting with her Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov. No details were given, but arms deals are among the possible items on the agenda, as well as Putin's potential visit to Pyongyang. During the earlier meeting, Choi mentioned in her remarks that North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has invited President Putin to North Korea. The two ministers have also discussed implementation of agreements reached at the leaders' summit last September, as well as the situation on the Korean Peninsula. As political and business leaders from across the globe gather at the World Economic Forum in Davos, some of the key geopolitical issues were discussed at main events on the second day. Our Kim Jong-sil has the details.
Global leaders are discussing concerns over geopolitical tensions as they gather in Davos, Switzerland. Leaders from around the world for the second year in a row discussed how to end the war in Ukraine. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky met with NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg on Tuesday. The NATO Secretary General said, quote, "Support for Ukraine is not charity, it's an investment in our own security," promising more military support for Ukraine. President Zelensky also spoke at the forum.
We must gain air superiority for Ukraine just as we have gained superiority at the Black Sea. We can do it. Partners know what's needed and in what quantities.
Zelensky added that frozen Russian assets should be directed toward rebuilding Ukraine. Another key topic was the situation in Gaza and the Red Sea attacks by the Houthi rebels. Qatari Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani said the current situation is extremely concerning.
We see like it's the most dangerous escalation right now because it's not affecting only the region, it's affecting the global trade as well.
He said the world needs to focus on the main issue, which is Gaza, to get everything else to calm down, while stressing diplomacy is preferable over any military resolution, referring to the US and UK retaliations on the Houthis. Escalating North Korean provocations were also discussed at the forum. US National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said North Korea worries him, but stressed the more others seek to undermine the international system through violence and coercion, the more it brings US allies and partners closer. The 54th World Economic Forum annual meeting will last until Friday. Kim Jong-sil, Arirang News.
And the Pentagon went ahead with its third strike against Houthi militants in Yemen, this time destroying 4 anti-ship ballistic missiles. Washington also says Iranian weapons intended for Houthis were seized in a raid. Lee Seung-jae has more.
The U.S. Central Command says its military has launched a third strike against Houthi militants in Yemen, destroying 4 anti-ship ballistic missiles set to be launched at ships in the Red Sea. Speaking to Reuters, 2 unnamed U.S. officials said the preemptive strikes were carried out as the missiles created an imminent threat to commercial vessels and U.S. warships in the area. The latest strikes come after a second successful Houthi attack on a commercial ship in 2 days, after the militant group claimed responsibility for attacking a Maltese-flagged bulk carrier on Tuesday. The U.S. and the U.K. have attacked dozens of missile and radar sites used by Iranian-backed Houthi militants in Yemen since January 11th. The U.S. Central Command also announced on Tuesday that the U.S. Navy had seized Iranian weapons that were intended for Houthis in Yemen. The Navy seized ballistic missile and cruise missile components from a vessel off the coast of Somalia last week. The Central Command said that with the latest seizure, it's clear that Iran continues the shipment of advanced lethal aid to the Houthis, a clear violation of UNSC resolutions. The raid was conducted using helicopters and drones participating in the operation. Despite the ongoing operations to stop the Iran-backed rebels from attacking commercial ships in the Red Sea, Houthis have claimed responsibility for attacking a Greek-owned Maltese-registered cargo ship in the Red Sea. The militant group spokesman said that the Yemeni rebels targeted the ship with naval missiles on Tuesday as it was heading to Israel, resulting in a direct hit. The bulk carrier was traveling north to the Suez Canal when it was attacked, but there were no reports of injuries. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
The New York Times every year comes up with its own list of best restaurants. And Pansang, a Korean restaurant based in San Francisco, made it into the Daily's 23 of the best American dishes of 2023 for its 물회, which is cold raw fish noodles. Joining me today is a chef there, Mr. Ethan Min. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. I'm Chef Ethan, head chef at the Pansang. Thank you for inviting me here today.
Sure. So you are a chef at a San Francisco-based restaurant called Pansang. Tell us what inspired you to become a chef cooking Korean dishes over in the U.S.
Oh, yeah. So I landed in the United States 5 years ago, and then I worked at the Michelin 2-star French restaurant. And I was making the kimchi fried rice for the family meal. And then I tried to put some cheese on top, like how we eat all the time in Korea. And then all of my coworkers said, this is not Korean food because you put the cheese on it. And then I was like, no, this is how we eat. And then they was like, no, it's still not Korean food. And that time, it was pretty frustrating that a lot of people know Korean as just like kimchi or Korean barbecue. And then that's why I kind of like started thinking about I need to open a Korean restaurant in San Francisco to introduce Korean new flavor, or there's much more than just kimchi and Korean barbecue.
So it all started with a kimchi fried rice with cheese on it. Then what is this 물회 all about for those of us who may not be so familiar with the dish?
Oh, yeah. So 물회 means in Korean just like a water and the raw fish. So basically it means a cold raw fish soup. So it was started by the fishermen on the fishing boat because they don't have time for like a meal, and they brought there some like gochujang broth with a vegetable, and also they cut the fish right after they caught, and then they just mix everything together with the noodle and sometimes the rice, and then it's more like a drinking in kind of thing, and then that's how it started. So it normally served with the gochujang broth, sometimes it's doenjang in the Jeju Island, and then also a bunch of vegetables such as a cucumber and cabbage, and or lettuce, and just like vegetable, anything like people prefer, and seafood, and the kind of thing. And we always recommend like mix everything together and eat with a spoon so that they can enjoy all the flavor and all the different texture. So I love this dish. It's really good. Yeah.
Right. Then I have to ask you, why 물회 out of all the dishes? I mean, kimchi fried rice is, a much beloved one, but why 물회?
So we have another chef named Jin, and Jin and I just love 물회. It's probably our favorite dish of all time. And when you open a restaurant, we had been craving for the 물회 because we cannot, order or eat here. Of course, we don't want to sell food we don't like. We always want to sell we love. And also one of idea, like I said, trying to bring some like new dish is popular for Korean, but not popular for the non-Korean people. So 물회 was one of them. And also we found like a lot similarity between the Pohang, which is known for 물회, and San Francisco. Both like known for the seafood and also like a port city and that kind of thing. So we thought like we would work out, and then actually it did pretty good. Yeah.
Right, I'm sure you've received wonderful comments about 물회 ever since you've been introducing it to your San Francisco restaurant. But what comments or reactions do you remember or hold dear to your heart? Any comments you'd like to share?
Normally, I think the guest has just no clue what 물회 is. Because in the menu, it just says MULHWE, just like a 물회. And when they get it, it's like beautifully plated, and also like when they mix it and eat together, just like they have just no expectation. And then people always say it's like unexpected and surprisingly great. So also I personally, I got a lot of, good comment from like friends, and when they taste it, it's like better than, sometimes they said better than one in Korea. And then I'm really proud of this dish, actually, yeah.
Right, the way it looks, the dish itself it could be a pleasant surprise to non-Korean people there. Chef Min, before I let you go, are there any dishes you're currently working on or exploring with a view to adding to your menu?
We are now working on some Korean bao, like a steamed bun dish with charcoal grilled gochujang chicken, and then like a soy pickled charred scallion and sesame leaf mayo, which is candy mayo. And also we're trying to make the 오징어 순대 kind of like American version a little bit, like, and then serve with some like a chili chimichurri sauce. And that's just, we have a lot of idea. And also another idea is like 고기 국수 in Korea, in Jeju Island. I'm trying to like make it our 반상 version of it too. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much for your time today. Chef Min, joining us all the way from San Francisco. You have a wonderful afternoon there.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Over in LA, where the 75th Emmys took place, Korean-American actor Steven Yeun has added another award to his collection. This time, he took home the Outstanding Lead Actor Award for his role in the Netflix series Beef. Our Yeun has this report.
South Korea-born American actor Steven Yeun has captured the first Emmy of his career for his role in the Netflix series Beef. He won the Outstanding Lead Actor Award in a limited series or TV movie at the 75th Primetime Emmy Awards, which took place on Monday local time in Los Angeles. Beef is a comedy drama where Yeun stars as Danny Cho, a second-generation immigrant working as a building contractor who becomes embroiled in a road rage confrontation.
Well, our goal was never to silo ourselves as separate. We want to connect with everybody. We're telling human stories.
While talking about the impact of the series, Yeun also expressed his gratefulness to be living in a time where differences are appreciated.
Honestly, I feel blessed that we live in this time where we can all kind of like see past ways in which we separate ourselves, celebrate those, but also come together. It feels really nice.
Yeun's co-star Ali Wong won Outstanding Lead Actress in the same category. Beef won a total of 8 awards at the Emmys, including Outstanding Limited or Anthology Series and Outstanding Directing for the show's creator, Korean-American Lee Sung-jin. Steven Yeun has picked up multiple awards in the U.S. for his role in Beef. The Emmys comes just over a week after the Golden Globes, where Yeun and Ali Wong became the first actors of Asian descent to win in their categories. He also took home Best Actor in a limited series at the Critics' Choice Awards. Yeun, Arirang News.
Good morning. I'm Kim Jiang, and now we turn over to stories from around the world. We begin today in the United States, where former President Donald Trump is attending a trial in New York over the defamation case of E. Jean Carroll. He is accused of making defamatory statements against Carroll in 2019. This comes just one day after Trump won the Iowa Republican caucuses. Both Trump and Carroll attended the Tuesday trial, where opening statements and jury selection was made. Carroll, who is seeking $10 million in damages, is expected to testify when trial resumes on Wednesday local time. A separate trial last year found Trump liable for sexually abusing Carroll, but not of raping her, and also found Trump liable for defaming Carroll in statements made in 2022. Elizabeth Jean Carroll is a former magazine columnist who alleged that Trump raped her in a department store in mid-1990s, then defamed her by denying any wrongdoings. Now to the US again, where a suspected serial killer, already charged with multiple murders of sex workers on Long Island, New York last year, was charged again on Tuesday with a fourth killing. 60-year-old Rex Heuermann, a Manhattan architect, was charged Tuesday at the Suffolk County Courthouse on Long Island in connection with the death of 25-year-old Maureen Brainard Barnes, whose remains were found near Gilgo Beach in 2010. Heuermann was charged last July with the first-degree murder of 3 sex workers in their 20s, whose bodies were among 11 sets of human remains found in 2010 and 2011 in the same area. The new charge comes as a result of DNA evidence linking Heuermann to the death. He has pleaded not guilty to all of the charges. Over to the Middle East, and a report by Iran's state media late Monday, which said Iran's Revolutionary Guards Corps attacked Israel's spy headquarters in Iraq's Kurdistan region with ballistic missiles. Authorities say 4 people were killed and 6 wounded in the attack. Iran's Revolutionary Guards said the strike was a response to recent military action by Israel. However, Iraq's government condemned the attack for leading to civilian casualties. The IRGC also reported a strike against Islamic State in northern Syria. 2 rare white animals have been spotted in different parts of the globe. A white Omuras whale was captured on video by tourists off the coast of Phuket, Thailand, in what could be the first known instance of an albino Omuras whale. The Thai tour company named the rare whale Thalang. Meanwhile, in Antarctica, a white penguin was found and recorded at the Gabriel Gonzalez Videla base. The female Gentoo penguin is normally characterized by its black and white feathers with a white spot on top of its head. This rare penguin was found mostly white due to leucism. Leucism is a genetic condition caused by a partial loss of pigmentation, whereas albinism affects all melanin production, meaning a complete lack of pigment.
Good morning. Hope you have an umbrella with you. Winter precipitation is in the forecast from this morning from Chungcheong-namdo and Jeollabuk-do provinces, spreading nationwide by the afternoon. In southern provinces could see 5 to 20 millimeters of showers. Central regions could see snow instead of rain. Until Thursday, mountainous regions of Gangwon-do could see more than 8 centimeters of snowfall. Meanwhile, East Coast regions stay dry with a dry advisory in place. East of Gangwon-do province will be quite windy as well, but the dry spell should ease due to that wintry precipitation. Temperatures will stay above norms today. Afternoon highs will be slightly lower with the absence of sunshine. Then tomorrow we'll see a high of 10 degrees in Seoul. But this afternoon, Seoul tops out at 3 degrees, but Jeju topping out at 17 degrees Celsius. The warming trend continues through the weekend before a big chill arrives early next week. Meanwhile, those in the east of Gangwon-do province should keep an umbrella handy. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the international weather conditions.
We thank you for watching New Day at Arirang. We'll be back tomorrow for Thursday's edition at the same time, 9 a.m. Korea time.